Hi, everybody. Linda Joy here with my colleague and
Hi,
friend.
everybody.
Brooke
Linda
Warner,
Joy
welcome,
here
Brooke. With my
Thank
colleague
you. I'm
and
so
friend.
excited to be
Brooke
in this
Warner,
conversation
welcome,
with you, and
Brooke.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so excited
Thank
to be
you.
in this
Thank
conversation
you.
with
So
you,
many
and
of you know that
congratulations.
I'm still a
Thank you.
memoirist. I
Thank
want
you.
to
So many of
reassure
you know
everyone.
that
I'm still a
working on
memoirist.
some
I want to
pieces there
reassure
too,
everyone.
but I got bit by the bug
I'm
of
working on
fiction,
some
and we're going to
pieces
talk
there
about
too, but
memoir
I got bit
fiction
by the bug
and
of
all the
fiction,
things
and we're going to talk
that
about
are similar and some
memoir
things that are
fiction and
different.
all the things
As
that
many of you
are
know,
similar and some
but
things that
to
are
say,
different.
Brooke Warner
Is
as many of you know,
a colleague of mine
Brooke
and a
Warner,
friend.
we
is
teach the Write Your Memoir in 6
a
months.
colleague of mine and a
Group together
friend.
and have
We
been
teach
doing
the
it
Write Your
for
Memoir in
11
6
years.
months. Grouped
Yep,
together and have been
right.
doing it for
Loving it. And we also
11
present
years.
some special
Yep,
shorter
right.
programs throughout the
Loving
year.
it.
And we
have
also
one coming
present
up
some
this fall that
special
you're going to
shorter
be hearing
programs
about
throughout
very,
the year.
very
We
soon.
have one coming up this
So
fall
thank you all
that
for
you're going to be
coming.
hearing about very, very soon.
I
So thank you all
started
for coming.
NAMW in 2008.
Started
Wow, a while
NAMW
back,
in 2008.
and have gradually gotten to know
Wow,
so many
a while
of you
back,
through
and
the
have
programs
gradually
here at
gotten to
NAMW.
know so many of
But
you
when I was
through the
11,
programs
I
here
thought
at NAMW.
I wanted to write a novel.
But when I was
someday.
11, I thought
Even started
I
one.
wanted
I'm
to
sure
write
it
a
was
novel.
really
Someday.
terrible, but a lovely
Even started
man
one.
that
I'm
I
sure it
knew
was
who was a
really
violin
terrible,
teacher,
but a lovely
looked
at
man
what
that
I'd
I
written
knew
and
who
just
was a violin
encouraged me to
teacher
keep writing, which was
looked
really nice of
at
him.
what I'd written and just encouraged me
So I
to keep
thought we'd
writing,
get
which
into
was really
today
nice of him.
with
Brooke and I,
So I thought we'd get into
about a bunch
today
of things.
with Brooke and I,
And
you
Brooke,
know,
you may have your own
about a bunch
questions
of
and
things.
queries that you would like
And
to
Brooke, you may have
pursue.
your own questions.
So where
and
shall we
queries
start?
that you would like to pursue?
Yeah, well, I
So
do
where
want to
shall we
say,
start?
I hope that people have gotten the book and read the book. I hope that people have gotten the book and read the book. I brought it to be able to reference and show, and just do want to say congratulations. It's the spaces of like how fiction is different, but also how some of the how fiction is different, but also how some of the I think that's an interesting place to start. Are similar, right? And so I guess before we get into like the craft part, though, one of the things that happens so often with the craft part, though, with our students, is people will say, "Oh, well, I want to fictionalize with our students," or people will say, "Oh, well, I want to fictionalize the work," or "I'm too scared to write my story." What should I do? I mean, obviously, you've chosen historical fiction, so what should I do? It's not like it's Linda Joy's historical fiction, and so that's a novel. It's not like it's Linda Joy's I just thought it would be helpful as a context setter to have that conversation about as a context setter. People who maybe are like on this fence of like, should I choose a novel or should I choose a memoir? And of like, should I choose a novel or should I choose a memoir? And what do we say or what would you say to those folks?
And
Well,
there
gosh,
are,
we talk
and
about
we've
this
had
all the
students
time,
where they
and
had
really
there
big
are-
important reasons
and
why
we've
they
had
wanted
students
to
where they had
write their
really
book
big important
as
reasons
fiction,
why they wanted to
however, write
uh,
their book
often
as
many
fiction,
people believe
you know.
that
However,
they believe that
often many people
believe
that
we hear that they believe that
if they do
that,
that, then the
and
family can't get
and
mad at them.
what we tell everyone is, yes, they all will know who you are.
And what we tell
You
everyone is,
publish
yes, they
with
all
an incredibly
know who you are.
blind pseudonym.
Unless you
Publish
Mhm.
with an
I
incredibly
think the way we look at it
pseudonym.
is it a crisis
And
of
I think the way we look at it
or
is it a crisis
confidentiality
of
or
confidence
of
or
what the family will say,
confidentiality,
or
and I think
fear
those things need
of
to be
what the
addressed
family will say
first,
maybe
and I think
before
those
somebody
things need to be addressed
decides. But I want to say
maybe
a couple
before
of things
somebody
that
25
decides.
years
But I want to
ago,
say a couple of things.
I was
that
writing Don't Call Me Mother.
25
it wasn't
years
that title,
ago,
but I was
I was writing
about
Don't
my
Call Me
family
Mother. Well, it wasn't
in
that title,
fictionalized
but I was
form, and I
writing
recently went
about
through
my
some old
family
files,
and
and
I found
fictionalized
four
form, and I recently went
fictionalized
through some old
versions.
files. And I
Four, no
found
less. I'd
4
forgotten.
fictionalized versions, and
Four,
they
no
were
less.
all
I'd
an
forgotten.
attempt to write,
I didn't.
they
at
were
that
all
time
an
also
attempt
memoir
to
wasn't
write.
a thing.
Only
I didn't
famous
at
people
that
wrote.
time also memoir wasn't
memoirs.
a
It was
thing.
a different era. Only famous people wrote.
So I mean, memoirs.
Right.
It was, it was good to have some practice writing, but it was good to have some practice writing, but where they're going to plant their feet. People need to decide what genre to choose, where they're going to plant their feet.
I think that's good advice. And I'm curious, also, I think that's good advice. I have craft questions. I'm curious, how does it feel also to be I have craft questions, a memoirist? How does it feel? I think the thing is that people, being a memoirist versus a memoirist, I think the thing is that people are like, being a memoirist is kind of fraught. Wrote a memoir, people are like a little scared to talk about it, and a lot of that is like wrote a memoir, and they're a little or conditioning, and we have a lot of that. We're always trying to celebrate memoir and conditioning, and we have a lot of that. We're always their pride around memoir, and we do that, and have to it. Whereas like being their pride around it, but it still has that something to it. Whereas like a little more glam and glitz, I guess. So I'm curious if you feel that glam and glitz, I guess.
Actually, I do.
So I'm curious if you feel that.
I've been walking the hard road. Actually, I do a little bit. I've been walking the hard road of I still am in memoir for so many years. I'm doing an audio version of Don't Call Me Mother that will come out. I'm doing an audio version of Don't Call Me Mother for Song of the Plains that will come out. I mean, if anything, writing this novel has also made me want to circle back. If anything, writing what I've already written also made me want to circle back in a new way. What I've already written and appreciate it almost in a new way. I appreciate the memoir, the memoirs in a new way. Appreciate the memoir, the memoirs in a new way. Novelist does have that sort of zing to it in a way, and you can also say novelist does have that sort of zing to it in a way, and you can also say, "Would you please?" This is somebody else's story, and this is a cultural thing that my book is going around. And this is a cultural thing that is going around.
I remember, in that interview when I talked to Mary Carr, and I remember, in that like higher profile memoirist to Mary Carr, that memoir needs to be defended. Like higher profile, and sometimes people have said memoir needs to be defended. People have said no, and sometimes people have said it does for the very reason that you're saying. But it's like people can get a little bit sheepish around it for the very reason that you're saying. It's like people can get a little bit sheepish around it sometimes.
Also, you and I teach well, and that's what you and I do, and also you and I. But also, it's about the power of transformation, but also handwriting. It's about the power of story. And all of you sitting here that have handwriting programs, own story, and all of you sitting here that have come to our many programs, you know what that journey is like wherever you are on it. You know what that journey is like wherever you are on it. In a way, it takes a lot of courage. It also may mean research. It may mean talking to family members you haven't spoken to in 30 years. It may mean talking to family members, dealing with the dead who are yelling at you from the grave. Dealing with the dead who are yelling at you from the grave. There's a lot that goes on. We're essentially private stories and private moments out into the we're essentially private stories and private moments.
So let's segue into what private things you might have brought into your memoir. Private things that I thought I went to your book passage event recently, and I can't remember if it was from a passage event recently, but I thought those are quite an interesting part of your journey. Like what are the things that are interesting part of your journey, or that are like what are the experiences or expertise that unique to Linda Joy, or that are into this novel about World War II? Expertise that are infused into this novel about World War II.
Some personal. Well, there's a couple of things. Everybody. Some personal. People who write novels and talk about novels. Everybody who write. People who write novels. What of you is in that? What of you is in the? Where did you? What of you is in the? Get to that. What of you is in the? And so apart from, frankly, I found, I wasn't so. I was frankly, tapped on the shoulder and a character. I wasn't in my ear. I was tapped on the shoulder and I wrote in the Pyrenees that got me to write this damn thing. I just wrote on a road in the Pyrenees that got me to write about this moment where I wasn't sure I wanted to do this novel, but I was about this moment where I wasn't sure I wanted to do this novel, but I was really interested in saved refugees in Vichy France. A couple of real life people who saved refugees in Vichy France, being Varian. And he would send people over the Pyrenees. His name is Varian, and he would send rescue them people over the Pyrenees, save their lives, to rescue them.
I
and
read
try to
about
save
him.
their
Must have been
lives
8 or 9 years
and
ago, and went.
I
Wow,
read
I
about
felt like
him.
I've been
Must
hit
have
in the
been
head.
8 or 9
I
years
was
ago,
just
and went
like
amazed
wow, I
at
felt like
the
I've been hit in the
courage
head.
and the
I
bravery.
was
And I'm
just
like,
ooh,
amazed
that should be a
at
story.
the
But
courage and the
I'm a
bravery. And I'm
memoirist,
like,
ooh,
and
that
I
should be
couldn't,
a story.
I
But
couldn't imagine
I'm a memoirist,
writing a novel
and
at all.
I couldn't.
I mean, it was
I
not.
couldn't
I just
imagine
put it aside
writing a novel
at
but
all. I mean,
kept
it was not. I just
tapping,
put it aside,
tapping,
and
but
I kept
kept
researching
tapping,
and reading,
tapping,
and realized how fascinated
and I
I was
kept
by this
researching and
history.
reading.
And
As
realized how
as some of you know, I
fascinated
grew
I
up with
was
my
by this
grandmother.
history.
She was
As
a
you know, some
Anglophile,
of
and
you
she
know, I grew up
loved
with
English
my
history, and
grandmother.
she used to
She
stomp
was
around the
an
house, and
Anglophile,
we were
and
watching
she loved English
documentaries
history,
about
and
World
she used
War
to stomp
II
around
in
the house
England, and
as
we were
shouting,
watching documentaries
well,
about World
we
War
left
II
England
and
standing
England,
alone, and she was all
shouting,
passionate. I was
well,
like, what?
we left England
standing
she
alone,
lived
and
through
she was
that
all
era,
passionate. I was like,
which is something.
I mean, she
lived through that
but I've
era,
been learning about
which
World
is
War II
something.
since I was like 14 years
But I've
old.
been
And
learning
that
about World
stuck
War
with
II
me.
since I was like 14
One
years
notable
old.
time that it
And that stuck
geared
with
me into
one
major
notable
reading
time that it
was when I was
geared
working
me
in a
into
library and I
major
saw Time
reading
magazine come across
was
the
when I
desk
was
with a
working in a
picture of Hitler
library
on
and I
it,
saw a
and he
Time
was man of
magazine
the
come
year.
across the desk.
He
with
was
a
man
picture
of the
Hitler
year
on
several
it.
times,
And
he
he
might
was man of the
remind
year.
some of us
He was
of
man of the
certain
year several times.
patterns
This
going
might
on
remind some of
now.
us of
I mean, about how that could
patterns
possibly
going
happen.
on
Now,
so when I read about
how that
Varian
could
Fry, I had a little
possibly
bit of
happen.
context,
So
to
when I
to
read
learn
about Varian
Fry, I
what
had a
had
little bit of
happened,
context,
and I
turned away
to
from
learn
it
about
many,
what
many
had
times
happened
until, and I turned
this one
away
particular
from it
moment, which
many,
we can
many
go into at
times
some point.
until this
Yeah,
one
well,
particular moment, which we can go into.
yeah, let's come back to that story in a minute, because I think it would be interesting to transition a little bit come into
back to that
craft.
story
I mean, I made the I think it point would when be I interesting to introduced transition a you little bit at into your event craft. that I mean, I the made the point when I
characters,
introduced
it's
you
very
at your event that
character
the
development.
characters,
And
you know,
so,
it's very and you're
strong
invested
character
in your
development.
characters,
And
you know,
so,
and there's a lot of
and you're
emotional tension
invested
there,
in
and
your
a lot that they're
characters,
going
you know, and
through.
there's a lot of emotional
and there's
tension
some
there,
parts
and
of
a
the
lot
novel
that
are
are incredibly
through,
tense, you know,
and there's some parts of the
things
novel that are
happen. I mean, I don't want to give any
tense,
spoilers,
you know, and
it's a good reason.
and I do
things
feel like
happen. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers
toward
but
the
it's a
end,
good
you know,
reason.
like,
And
I do feel like
there's
the
more at
pacing
stake and things start to
increases
happen,
toward the
and there's
end,
this
you know, like that
crescendo.
so I would
there's more
love
at
to
stake
hear
and
about
things start to happen, and there's this
how you think
crescendo.
about
So I would love
characters
to
in
hear
fiction,
about
especially
your,
because it's so
how you think
also
about
important to
characters
do
in
characterization
fiction,
and character
especially because
development
it's
well
so
in memoir.
also important
I mean,
to do
equally important, it's
characterization
just like
and character
here are people
development
you
well in
know
memoir.
and that
I
you've
mean, it's
lived
equally
with and grew up
important. It's just
with,
like here are people
and
you
over here are
know
people
and that you've
made
lived
up.
with and grew
So
up with.
talk
and,
about that a little bit.
and over here
Oh
are
my
people
God.
that you've made
That
up.
was the scariest
So
thing
talk
to
about
me.
that a little bit.
Right.
I mean,
I really
that was the
appreciate that
scariest
I've
thing
worked
to
on
me.
characterization
I
in my
mean,
own
I
books,
really
and we
appreciate
teach
it,
it. I've
and
worked
we
on
teach it
characterization in my own
every
books,
week
and
of the
we
year,
teach it,
except for 3
and we
weeks,
teach it for the last 12
every
years,
week
you know,
of the year,
so
except for 3
it's
weeks,
infused in
for the
my
last 12
thinking
years,
and
you know,
feeling,
so
and
we're always trying to
it's
find ways to
infused in
talk
my
to
thinking
people
and
about
feeling, and we're always
characterization,
trying to
particularly
find
of
ways
people
to
they
talk
know.
to people
Mhm.
about
In my case,
characterization, particularly
I'd
of
started
people
a
they
novel
know.
about the Kindred
Mhm.
transport
In my
that I
case,
didn't get
I
published,
started a
but
novel about the Kindred
I had a
transport that I
character
didn't
appeared
get
in that
published, but
novel,
and
I
he's
had
one
a
of the characters in
character
this story.
appeared in
And
that
his name is
novel,
Mr.
and
Glebe,
he's one of the
in
characters in
this
this
story.
story.
But
And
he's
his name is
based
Mr.
on
Glebe
in
my
this
original
story.
cello teacher
But
when I was
he's
a little
based
girl
on
in Oklahoma.
my
And this
original
man
cello
was
teacher when I was a little girl
kind,
in Oklahoma.
loving,
And this
warm,
man was
tender,
and
kind,
just had the biggest
loving,
heart.
warm,
And
tender,
I
and
knew him
just
when I
had
was
the
young,
biggest
lost
heart.
track.
Later
And
in the
I
90s,
knew
I
him when I
found
was
him and his
young,
wife
lost
again, and we
track.
spent a few
Later
years
in the
getting
90s,
to know
I
each other
found
and
him and his
visiting,
wife again, and
and then he
spent a
died
few
of
years
cancer, which
getting to know each other and
broke
visiting,
my heart.
and then he died of cancer.
And I wanted
which
him to stay alive.
broke my heart.
I'm like, no.
And I wanted him to stay alive.
A version
I'm like,
of him.
no.
So
You know,
Mr.
a
Broniger
version
of
of
him.
So
So Mr.
character,
Broniger
different background, different
is,
history,
I mean,
everything.
but
But
his
his
heart
heart
and
character,
soul
different background,
the
different
same.
history,
Mhm.
everything. So that
But
was
his
one.
heart
And
and
then
soul
I have a female
is the same.
character, young
Mhm.
woman.
So
So
that
that
was
was
one.
one.
And
And then
Sarah,
I have a
she's
female
like a
character,
father figure to
young
her.
woman,
Well,
Jewish woman named
hello.
Sarah, who
Listen to what I
he's
just
like
said.
a father
I mean,
figure to her. Well,
I didn't grow up with a
hello.
father, and
Listen to what I
or
just
my
said.
mother
I
grew
mean,
up with my
I
grandmother,
didn't
and
grow up with a father,
and I needed or my mother
really
needed my grandmother and father figures.
and I needed
Mr.
really
Broniger
needed
at that time was
father-
one. Father figures.
But they're in
and
terrible
Mr.
danger
Mr.
in
Broniger
Berlin.
at that time
And
was one.
I'd done a lot
But
of
they're in
reading
terrible
about
danger in
the
Berlin
situation with the Jews in
and
Berlin.
I'd done a lot of reading about
research. I was
the
completely
situation with the Jews in Berlin.
obsessed,
a
you
lot,
might
a lot
say,
of research.
about
I was
learning about it.
completely- and I
Obsessed,
knew
you
about
might
the
say,
dangers
about
that they were
learning
in.
about
So
it.
I
had to learn
knew
how to do
about
what
the
if.
dangers that they were in. So
What
I
if they
I had to learn
what
how to
if,
do
where
what
would
if.
they go? Well, how about
What
Paris?
if they,
You know,
what
and this
if,
was
where
true
would they
to the
go?
history
Well, how
of the
about
era.
Paris?
People in
You know,
Germany
and this
Austria
was true to the
other
history
places
of the
in
era.
Europe
People
were
in Germany
had
and Austria
been fleeing
other
going
places
to
in Europe
were
establishing
had
homes
been
in France
fleeing,
for
going
in the 20s and 30s,
establishing
homes
homes
in France.
So
for,
there
in
they
the
were.
20s and 30s.
And then
in
there's this
particular.
third character.
So there they were.
Shall we talk about
And then
him?
there's this third
Yeah,
character.
absolutely.
Okay, shall we talk
So,
about him?
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
working on this
Okay,
fleeing
so,
story. I was
imagining
on
they
this
run away
fleeing
from Paris
story,
during the Exodus as
imagining
the Germans were
they
attacking.
run away from Paris
And
during the
millions of people
Exodus as the
fled
Germans were
south
attacking.
trying to escape the Germans.
And
so I could
millions
see
of
them
people
there.
fled
So I could see
south
trying
all
to
this.
escape the Germans.
But I
so I
didn't
could see
know
them there. So I could see
what
all
else was
this.
going to happen once they
But I
arrived
didn't
in the
know
South. What else was going
until
to happen once they
2018.
arrived
I
in the
hadn't quite
South.
made up my mind
about committing
until
to
2018.
a
I
novel.
hadn't quite
I
made
was
up my
still
mind
struggling
about
with, well, how do I
committing
know
to
what
a
to
novel.
make up? I was
so
still
tethered. I
struggling
could
with,
feel
well,
it
how
in
do I
my
know what to
body.
make up?
I was
heart,
so tethered.
my
I could
chest
feel
was
it in my
tethered to
body.
my
You must tell the truth.
heart,
You must
my
write the
chest
truth. Was
I've
tethered
been
to
in memoir
You
truth
must
all
tell the
these
truth.
years.
You must write
you
the
know.
truth.
I've been in memoir truth
so
all these years.
I was struggling
know.
with that.
And
And
so
so
I
I
visited France,
I was
though,
struggling
ended up
with
on the
that.
border
And
of
so
France
I
and Spain.
visited France, though,
and
ended up on the border of France.
somebody started
Spain,
whispering in my ear.
and
Somebody
said,
started whispering in
"You
my
need
ear.
me in your story."
He's
said,
Spanish.
"You need
Where I
me
was
in your
standing,
story."
his
He's Spanish.
family and
Where I was
many of
standing,
his
family
and
many
friends
of his
died on that road as they were
you
escaping
know,
Franco.
family and friends
And I was
died
standing
on
at
that
a
road as they
memorial.
were escaping
And
Franco.
he said, "You need me in my
and
story.
I
My
was
name is
standing at a
Cesar.
memorial.
And your
He
character,
said, "You need me
Sarah,
in my
needs
story.
me.
My name is
I'll help
Cesar.
her. And your character,
So,
Sarah,
what do you
needs
do?
me. You
I'll
know?
help her."
What happens when somebody
So,
starts whispering
what
in
do
your
you
ear?
do?
I'd heard
You
about
know?
this. What happens when somebody
But it
starts
happened.
whispering in your
So
ear?
I
I'd
said,
heard
"Okay,
about this.
fine."
Okay, I'll write a
But
novel.
it happened. So I said,
You
"Okay,
know,
fine."
and so you just
Okay, I'll
never
write a novel.
kind of know. I mean, I was
You
trying
know,
to
and so
kind
you
of
just
avoid.
never
I knew
kind of know. I
several
mean, I
things.
was
One is
trying to
I didn't
kind
feel
of
that I knew how to
avoid. I
make things
knew
up.
several things.
I didn't
One is I
feel
didn't
that I knew
feel that I
enough
knew how
about
to
how to
things
create
up.
a plot.
I
kind of
didn't
out of
feel
thin
that I
air.
knew enough about
And
how
in
to create
memoir,
a
we
plot
lived it.
kind of out of thin air.
You know, we lived
And in
our
memoir,
plot,
we lived
but
it.
in a novel,
You know,
didn't.
we lived
Hmm.
our plot, but in a
Yeah,
novel,
no, that's
we didn't.
fascinating. It's really
Mhm.
interesting to hear you talk about it and
Yeah,
fun
no, that's
too. I mean, I
fascinating.
guess
It's
that's
really
another question I
interesting
have
to
is
hear you
like
talk about it and fun
over the
too.
years.
I mean, I guess that's another
we've
question I
had
have is like
many students who've written
over the
who are
years,
what we call cross
we've had
genre authors,
many
right?
students
That
who've
means
written
that
who
you're
are
a
what we
memoirist
call
and a novelist or
cross-genre
something else.
authors,
And
right?
a lot
That
of times
means
people
that
will be
you're
drawn
a
to
memoirist
fiction
and a
after writing
novelist
a
or something
memoir
else.
because
A lot of times
memoir
people will be drawn
asks
to
so
fiction
much
after
of
writing a
you,
memoir
and
because
people will talk
writing
about the
memoir
idea of fiction
asks
being
so much
more
of you,
fun.
and people will talk about
And
the
I'd
idea
like
of
to hear your
fiction
take on
being
that. You
more
know, I mean, I
fun.
know it's trying.
And
I mean,
I'd
you
like to hear your
efforted
take
through
on
this.
that.
You know, I mean,
worked
I
with
know
a lot
it's
of different
trying.
people
I
and
mean,
went through a
you
lot of different
efforted through
revisions.
this,
So
it's
you
not
worked
all
with a lot
fun.
of different people
But I
and
wonder
went
if
through a
you
lot
can
of different
speak to,
revisions. So it's not all
just the
fun.
emotions.
But I wonder if you can speak to,
Yeah, and
just the emotions.
I'm sort of a stubborn person.
Yeah, and
Like if
I'm sort of a
even a part
stubborn
of me
person,
says I
you
can't do
know,
something,
like if
damn it,
even a
I'm
part
gonna
of
find a way
me
to
says
do
I
it
can't do
somehow,
something,
damn it.
So I
I'm
essentially
gonna
put
find a
myself
way to
in
do
novel
it
school,
somehow,
and
by
so I
working with a
essentially
couple of
put myself
coaches
in novel school
and
having
by
writing
working with a
buddies
couple of
and all this kind
coaches
of stuff.
and
Having writing
so
buddies
I
and
and
all
I
this
and
kind
I
of
took
stuff.
classes and I read and read and read
So I
about
and I took
creating
classes and I read and read and read
creativity
about
itself.
I mean, we're really talking, I mean, a memoir, we have to be immensely
creativity itself. I mean,
creative.
talking.
I mean,
in
in memoir,
this
we
was
have to
like,
be
all right,
immensely
it's like
creative
creating something out of the air
in this
in a way.
was
I
like,
had,
all
I
right,
was lucky.
it's like creating
What
something out
helped
of
is
air
I'm writing
in a way.
historical fiction,
I
so
was
there were
lucky.
certain poles.
What helped is
along
I'm writing
that route
historical
that I could
fiction,
hold
so there were
on
certain
to and say,
poles.
well, here
along
is
that
when
route
this
that I
happens.
could
So when
hold
they're in
on
the
to
Exodus,
and say, well,
running
here
away
is
when
when
this
you know,
happens.
that's
So when they're in the
true.
Exodus, it's real.
Running
I
away,
wanted to
well,
put a
you know,
lot.
that's
I wanted
true.
to make it
It's
as
real. I
completely
wanted to
accurate
put
a
a
book
book
of fiction
wanted to
about
make
that
it
era
as
as I could
completely
possibly
accurate a book
do.
of
And
fiction
I about that
obsessed
era
over
as I could possibly
over that. And of course,
do.
the early
And I
drafts had a
obsessed
lot of
over-
history over
and
that.
people would
And
say,
of course, the
well, what
early
about the
drafts
characters?
had
What
a
about
lot
the
of
characters?
history.
So, and
So I
people would
had
say,
to
well,
really
what about
go
the characters?
into
What about the characters?
the
So
psychological
I had
thing,
to
and
really
many of you
go
know that I'm a therapist.
into
I said, okay,
this psychological
how am
thing, and
I?
many of you
How
know
am
that I'm
I,
a therapist.
Sarah?
I said, okay,
What is it that I know?
how am I
about
how
Sarah?
am I
I found my
Sarah?
female character.
What is it
harder
that I
to write
know
about than my
about
female
Sarah? I
character.
found my
Mm.
female character
Too
harder
close
to write
to me
about than
in a
my
way,
but I
female
had to
character.
circle back
Mm.
around
Too
and
close
say,
to me
what does she
in a way,
know?
but I
What
had to
does she
circle back
love?
around
And say, what does she afraid of? What does she love?
and
What is she
so
afraid
her
of?
psychology is based on
And
of course
and so
what I know
her
about
psychology
those
is based
what
on
is it like?
of course.
And so the
what I
larger
know
thing is what
about
is it
those
like?
things.
What
To
is
not
it
have a
like?
home.
And so the larger thing
Man, I
is
grew
what
up
is
with
it
my
like
grandmother
to not have a
but
home?
it was made clear that
Man, I
wasn't
grew up
really
with my
my
grandmother,
home.
but
You know,
I was
so I
it
know
was
what it
made
feels
clear
like
that
to
wasn't
feel
really
lost
my
and to
home.
feel
And
you
then
know,
and
so I
then
know
the
what it
question
feels
of
like to
identity.
feel
And
lost and
so
to feel
these people end up having
and
to
then the
change
question
their
of
names
identity.
to
And
survive.
so I
these
explored the
people end
question
up
of
having to
identity,
change their
which
names
is a
to
core
survive.
facet
So I
of
explored the
therapy
question of
work
identity,
and
which is a
memoir.
core facet
You
of
know,
therapy
who am
work.
I
And
if I'm
and
not this
memoir
or that?
you know,
Who
is
am
there
I
an
if
I
I'm not this
that
or that?
that is real
there
and
an I
solid all the way through all
that-
these things, no matter what
that
happens?
is real
Those
and
kinds of
solid
questions
all the way
came
through
up.
all these things, no matter what happens?
And
Those kinds of
then I
questions
needed to
came up.
really try to put myself.
And
I knew Mr. Lee
then
so well
I
because
needed
I'd
to
written
really
so much
try to
about
put
him
myself.
already.
I
But
knew
then
Mr. Lee so
Cesar,
well because I'd written so
a
much about him
Spanish
already.
man,
But then
I know
Cesar,
nothing about
a Spanish
that
man,
world.
and
I
to
know
have an
nothing
inner
about
life with a
that
character,
world.
you need
And
to have an
know
inner
them
life
and get to know
with
them.
a
And,
character.
but
You need
he,
to whatever
know
the
them
magic
and
is,
get to know them.
we
And-
know
but
there's
he-
magic of memoir. There's
whatever the magic
of
is,
fiction,
we know
whatever
there's
that was.
magic of memoir. There's
Magic of fiction, whatever
he
that
sort of
was.
made it easy for me, and I based him a little bit on somebody
He sort of
I
made it easy
knew,
for me, and I
but-
based him a
but
little bit on
mostly I
somebody
was
I
learning,
knew,
you know,
but
how to create
but
something
mostly I was learning,
just out of my
you
imagination.
know, how to create something out of
Well, and talk about like there's,
just out of my
you know,
imagination.
speaking, it's interesting to hear you say
Well, and
that
talk
the
about, like,
female
there's-
character was more
you know,
difficult to
speaking-
write. And of
it's
course
interesting
she,
to hear you say
and
that
they all
the female
experience
character was more
a lot of
difficult to
trauma.
write.
And of course she, and
they
each
all
of them has, you know,
experience
some
a lot
very
of trauma,
significant things that happen to
and
them.
each of them has,
But of course,
some very
Sarah,
significant
your primary
things that
character who
happen
changes
to
her name
them.
throughout
But of
the
course,
book. Sarah,
because she's a
your primary
woman,
character who
she
changes her name
she-
throughout the book,
unique to women.
because
I
she's
think
a
in-
woman,
not completely, but obviously more
unique
so
to
this sort
women,
of
I think,
sexual
in
tension
not
and
completely, but
the
obviously
assault,
more so this sort of sexual
things that she
tension
has to
and
deal
the,
with, right? And
the
and
sort
assault,
of how vulnerable it is to be a
things that she
woman
has
in
to
the
deal
world,
with, right?
and
sort of how
specifically
vulnerable
in
it
this
is to be a woman in the
right,
world
when she has to
and
flee and she's on her
specifically
own and
in
she's
this
doing this and that, and she's
time,
quite
right?
young,
When she has to
and
flee
so
and she's on her
I
own
just
and she's doing
wondered
this and
about,
that, and she's
you know,
quite young,
bringing your
and
own
so
experience to
I
that.
just
And while
wondered
it's
about,
not
you
your
know,
experience,
bringing your
but
own
you know what it's
experience
like
to that,
to
and
have
while
those
it's
kinds of
not your
experiences,
experience,
you know, so how do you
but you
do
know
that
what
in
it's
terms
like to
of,
have those kinds of
you know,
experiences,
projecting into
you know, so
the
how do you
story
do that
something
in
that you
terms
know,
of,
but it's also
you know,
not
projecting
a directly
into the
known
story something that
experience.
you know, but it's also not a directly known
not
experience.
directly in the sense that literally
not directly
running
in
away
the
that
sense,
way,
but
but it is
literally
direct psychological
running
away that way, but
it's very
it
much
is
anybody who
direct
knows my
psychological.
story knows
some of the
it's
background
very much anybody who
of
knows my
of
story
feeling
knows some of the
lost or
background of
rejected or
feeling
the brutality
lost or
of
rejected,
people
or
at times,
the
brutality
and
of
fear.
people at times.
So I tuned into the psychology
fear.
of what I
I do know, and what I know
to the
went through,
psychology
I
of what
read
I
do
so
know,
many
and what I
accounts
know
of
went
people
through, I
who
read
were
living
so
in that
many
era.
accounts of people.
I read the
who
memoir
were
of Varian
living in that
Fry and
era.
another
True life
I read the
named
memoir
Donald
of
Caskie.
Varian Fry and
But I
another
read
true
many,
life
many
character named
stories
Donald
about
Caskie.
Jews who lived in Berlin.
But I read many, many
there are some
stories
assembly
about
of
Jews who lived in
stories.
Berlin. I
There
did
are
all the
some
research I
assembly
could
of
for direct
stories.
sources.
There
There
were
were
other
other
books
research
that
I
talked
could
about what
for
it was like
direct
to be in Vichy
sources.
France, to
There
be
were other
always
books
hunted,
that talked about what it was like to be in
you
Vichy
know,
France.
and so
to
I
be
wasn't
always hunted.
well, you know,
Was I
and
ever
so I
hunted?
wasn't
Sort of.
my grandmother had
No.
some ways about her, but
Was I
I
ever
mean, just
hunted?
that
Sort
whole
of.
feeling that
My grandmother
that
had
at
some
any
ways about her,
moment, I mean, just
also
that
you
whole
could be
feeling
caught,
that at any
and
moment
something bad could happen.
also you could
And
be
many
caught,
children go through this. I mean, it's
and
not
something
a-
bad could happen.
completely
And
unusual.
many children
go through this. I mean, it's
for that
not
to
an-
happen, and so I
completely
had
unusual,
to kind of for
sort
that
of
to happen,
strip
and
down
so I
to
had
these
to
sort of
kind of
deep psychological
sort of
essences
strip down to
of-
these sort of deep
of
psychological
who I
essences was
of-
at Sarah.
and it got easier because
I
was
eventually
at
it got
Sarah.
easier. I mean,
And
I
it
was-
got
I
easier
actually
because
had a hard
eventually
hard
it
time
got
with
easier.
it.
But I mean, the
I
way to
was-
get through
I
something,
actually
you
had
just
a
keep
hard
working at it.
a hard
I mean,
time
you
with
just
it,
keep
but I mean, the
writing.
way to get through something,
I
you
kept
just keep
researching.
working at
I
it.
would
mean,
close
you
my
just keep
eyes when I would
writing.
read about some of these accounts.
I kept
and I would,
researching. I
you know,
would close
take it
my
inside
eyes
my
when I would
body
read about
and
some of
say,
these
okay,
accounts. And
now
I
let
would,
me translate
you know,
that
take it
to
inside
my
my
body
story.
and say, okay,
Now
and
let
I
me
think as
translate
memoirists,
that
that's what we do
to
too.
my story.
And
Yeah.
I think as memoirists,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what we
interesting.
do
Well,
too.
talk a little bit about
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
forget
it's
the term
interesting.
you
Well,
have for it,
talk
but like
a little bit
catching the
about,
research bug, you know, because I
I
think
forget
you've
the
talked
term
a
you
bit
have
about
for it, but like catching the
sometimes you have
research
to pull
bug, you know,
yourself
'cause I
away
think you've
from
talked a bit
the
about
amount of
it-
knowledge.
sometimes you have
and
to pull
that is out
yourself
there at your
away
fingertips, and
from
you read
the
so many
amount
books
of
and reading
knowledge
your book, of
that
course,
is out
makes
there at
me
your
want to read
fingertips,
the
and you
Varian
read so many
Fry book. I mean,
books.
he's a And reading your
great
book, of course,
character
makes
in
me
here,
want to read the Varian Fry
and
book.
one
I mean,
that
he
shows
has a
up in
great
sort of a
character
small
in here,
but important role.
and one that shows
toward
up
the
in
end.
sort of a
So
small
I'm
but
curious
important
about like
role.
what do you do
Toward the
I mean,
end.
do you have to at some
So
point say
I'm curious about like
what do you do? I mean, do you have to at
more
some point
books.
say I
Kind
must
of, but
stop
that's 500
getting
books later.
more books?
Kind
No,
of, but that's 500 books later.
I was obsessed.
No, I really
well,
was obsessed to I
was
wanted
obsessed.
I mean,
a
I really
really
was
accurate
obsessed to
book
I wanted
about
to
right.
write. There's some books
A
out there
really
about Varian
accurate
Fry,
book
and
about
there's some highly
books out there
fictionalized
about
Varian
him
Fry
and
the
they're
situation.
highly
And I was
fictionalized
determined.
him.
I mean, I started my
and
book
the
before those books were
situation.
published.
And
Actually,
I was
determined,
but I knew
I
that
started
that's
my
not
book
what I
before
wanted
those
to
books
do.
were published.
And
Actually, and
so
but I knew
he's
that
not a
that's
point
not
of
what
view
I wanted to
character.
do. I was
And
determined not to go
so
in his
he's not a
head
point of view
and
character.
I
I
mess
was
around with
determined
his
not to go in his
psychology like
head
some of these other
and-
books
and
mess
had
around.
done.
I felt very strong about that. I wanted to see what I could do with my
had
own
done. I felt very
characters,
strong about
but
that. I wanted
I
to
must
see
have
what I
read
could do with
Varian
my own
Fry's book 30
characters,
times
but
and underlined
I must have read
everything, and all
Varian
these other
Fry's
books
so the
30 times
best
and
books
underlined
for
everything, and all these
researching
other
what it
books.
was
So
really
the
like. I mean, I
best
read the big
books
tomes,
for
Jackson's
researching
big fat book
what it was
on
really
history
like.
of
I mean, I
France
read the
during
big
World War
tomes.
II. There were many
Jackson's
big
big
tomes,
fat
and I
book
needed
on
to
history
get
of
the
France during World War
overview,
II. There were many
background
big
too
tomes,
of
and I needed to
now how was
get the
it
overview.
that France
France
fell so fast
and they had a
of
collaboration
now
with
how
government.
was it
There must have been
France
things
fell
just
so
like we
fast
look at
and
the
they had a
psychology of
collaboration with
people.
government?
There must have
There
been
must
things
have been
going on in
things, just like we
France
look at the
that
psychology
most
of
of us,
people.
I didn't
There must have been
know
things going
much
on in
about,
France
that allowed
that
that
most of
to
us,
happen,
I didn't
and I did
know much about.
pound
that
away at the
allowed
research.
that to
We call the
happen, and I
term
did
research rapture when
pound
you
away
just
at
are
the
like
research.
we
Found
call the
something else.
term
I found
research
something else. Oh my
rapture
God,
when
I
you
can't
just
believe
are
that.
like.
That's what it
And
was.
so
Found something
what
else.
leads to research
something
rapture
else. Oh my
is at the
God, I
back
can't
of
believe
every
this.
book, there's a
And so
bibliography.
what leads
And
to
all those
research
books
rapture
are
is
at the back of
findable
every book, there's
either
a
on
bibliography.
Amazon
And all
or
those books
at a
are
wonderful
findable
location if any of you
either
are
on
researching
Amazon
old books called
or
Abe
at a wonderful
books.com.
location if any of you are
And they
researching
have books
old books
printed
called Abe
and written in the 40s, 50s, 60s,
and they
70s
have
that
books
you can get shipped
printed
to you.
and written in
One
the 40s,
came
50s,
to me
60s,
from
70s that you can
Australia.
get shipped to
was like, wow, look at this. I've got a book from Australia. I was like, wow, look at this. I've got a book. How far did I go? But so then for a long time there was this long chain of checking the bibliographies. So then for a long time there was this long chain of checking the bibliographies of the bibliographies. And this has happened in other research. And finally there was a circle And this has happened in other research I've done. Finally, there was a circle.
I think I have, and it had
more
closed.
than enough.
And I'm
I
like,
have
ah,
enough. I have enough.
Okay.
And I had to get it
More
to
than
settle
enough. I have enough.
inside.
I have
And
enough.
as you know,
And
I had to get it
memoir
to settle
classes, you know, and a lot of
inside.
times we
And
go,
as,
well,
as you know,
okay,
we need to
memoir classes,
use
you know, and a lot of
scenes to
times
make
we go, well,
clear,
okay,
have
we
somebody
need to
live through
use
scenes to make
experience in
things
writing
clear,
scenes,
have somebody
but there
live
also needs to be
through
narration and
somebody's experience in
summary and
writing
overview.
scenes.
But there also needs to
And
be
that was the
narration and
challenge. How
summary
do
and
I
overview.
decide what's in a scene?
And that
When
was
do
the
I put the
challenge. How do
overview
I
in?
decide
When do I,
what's in
how
a
do I fit
scene?
the history
When
in
do I put the
without
overview
lecturing?
in?
And when do I
got
how do
plenty
I
of
fit the
feedback about the
history
fact
in
that I was
without lecturing? And
saying too much
I got
about the
plenty of
history
feedback about the
and
fact
it
that I
needed to
was
be more about the character.
saying too
and
much
that
about the
was-
history. And
I'm
it
a
needed to be more about
historian
the
big time. I mean, I
character,
did
and
a
that
lot of
was-
research for Song of the
I'm a
Plains
historian big
to
time.
find
I
out
mean, I
what
did a
really
lot of
happened,
research
you
for
know, the
Song of the
history of
Plains,
that
of the people
to find
in my
out what
family
really
and so forth.
happened, you know, the
So I
history
had
of
to
that of the people
kind of
in my
balance the
family and
historian
so
with the
So I had
storytelling.
to
Right.
kind of
Well, I'm glad
balance
you
the
mentioned
historian
scene
with
because that was
the
one of the things that we
storytelling.
promised to talk about,
Right.
and I
Well, I'm
think we
glad you mentioned
should.
scene
Because that was one of the things
just
that we
this
promised to talk
notion
about,
of
and I think we
scenes being the
should.
building blocks, which is how we teach
Just
memoir,
this
of
notion
course,
of
and then
scenes being the building blocks, which is
I would
how
say
we teach
in
memoir,
in
of course,
novels,
and then
even more so. You know,
I
I mean,
would say
especially
in
because you
novels,
have
even more so. You know, I mean,
point of
especially
view,
because you
and
have
because you're writing multiple points
third
of view,
person
right?
point
So it
of
requires
view,
you
and
even
because you're
more
writing
so
multiple
to
points
pay
of view,
attention to the
right?
scenes.
So it
whose
requires
scene
you
is
even
it,
more so
you know, who's
to
in
pay
the
attention
scene,
to the scenes.
and so I
whose
was
scene
curious
is it,
about. I mean, I
you know,
almost
who's
feel like
in
it
the
would be
scene.
better for
And so I was
a memoirist
curious
to
about.
have
I mean, I almost feel like it would
studied
be
fiction
better
in
for
that way,
a
because
memoirist
sometimes
to
we get
have
so many students who just
studied
don't really
fiction in that
understand
way,
scene.
because
And
sometimes
as I
we
was
get so
reading, I
many
mean, I was just like,
students who just
oh,
don't really
contains scene,
understand
contains
scene.
scene, contains
And as
scene.
I was reading, I mean,
So
I was
I'd
just
like
like,
for you
oh,
to contain
talk a bit
scene,
more
contain
just about
scene,
scenes
contain scene.
and just the whole
So
thing
I'd love
about
for you to talk
what
a
it
bit
was
more
like to
just
write
about
scenes,
scenes
and just the
having
whole
worked
thing
with
about
memoir for so long.
what it was like to write
Well,
scenes,
I have to say I'm
having
very
worked with memoir for so
grateful,
long.
to have been teaching with you all these
Well, I
years.
have to
and
say I'm very
feel
grateful
very
to have been teaching with
deeply
you all these years
engaged
and knowing what a
feel
scene
very
is.
Yeah.
You
deeply
know, really knowing
engaged
that
in
it's
knowing
a
what
certain
a
moment
scene
in
is.
time.
Yeah.
At a
You know,
certain place.
really knowing that it's
You
a
know,
certain
where
moment in
the
time.
point of view
At a certain
character
place.
is seeing,
You know,
feeling,
where
smelling,
the
hearing,
point of view character
experiencing
is
something
seeing,
that
feeling,
matters.
smelling, hearing,
You know, something that's
experiencing
important
something
to the story
that matters.
And so,
You know, something that's
yeah,
important
for
to the
each point
story.
of view character.
And so I'm in
yeah,
their
for
head,
each
you
point
know,
of
I'm in
view
their
character.
body. What is it like?
I'm
to
in
be
their
the body
head.
of a
You know, I'm in their
55-year-old
body.
man who's
What
a
is it like
violinist and who
to be in
makes
the body of a
violins, who's got a mystical
55-year-old
man
man
who's a
him,
violinist
which I
and
love.
who makes
He was
violins, who's
easy
got a
for me,
mystical
though.
side to him.
Mhm.
And then what
Which I
about my
love.
young
He was
character?
easy for
I'm
me,
a
though.
little older than she
And then
was,
what about
and
my
so I had to
young
go, okay,
character?
I'm a
Do you
little
remember what it
older
was
than
like to
she
be
was, and so I
20?
had to
I don't
go,
want to
okay,
remember all of it.
do you
but
remember what it was like to
have
be
the
20? I don't
spirit
want to
and
remember
the
all of it, but
excitement and the imagination
spirit
of a
and the
20-year-old,
excitement,
especially a
and the
20-year-old Jewish girl
imagination
whose life
of a
is at
20-year-old,
stake, and
especially a
who's in a
20-year-old
war
Jewish
zone,
girl whose
basically.
life is at stake,
Yes,
and
I could do
who's
that,
in a
you
war
know,
zone.
I understood that I
basically.
was sticking
Yes,
to the
I could do
psychology
that.
of, you
What
know,
is
I
that
understood
like?
that I was sticking to
And
the
she's
psychology
young, she loves
of
art.
what
so
is
I have
that
an art,
like?
a degree in art.
And
I have a
she's
degree in
young,
music.
she loves
I
art,
brought,
so I have an
you
art,
know,
a
that one of
degree
the
in art.
points
I have
about
a
the
degree in
book
music.
is how
I
important
brought,
the arts
you know, that
for
one of the
survival.
points about the
That
book
came
is
from
how
my whole
important the
life.
arts
I
are
mean,
for
because I know
survival.
I've
That
been
came
there.
from my
I've
whole
lived it.
life.
I've experienced it. And I know a
because
lot
I
of
know
people.
I've
been there. I've
lived it. I've
and then with
experienced it.
Cesar,
I know a lot of people.
he started
do.
is a little
And
bit of
then
a
with
mystical
Cesar,
connection with him too.
he
because
started
he would just start
is a little bit of a
showing up
mystical
in
connection
scenes,
with him
and I'd
too,
write them
because
down.
he would
I'm like,
just start
okay, thank you.
showing up in
and then he'd
scenes,
show up
and
again,
I'd write them
and I
down.
didn't know
I'm
his
like, okay,
background. I
thank
didn't
you.
know much about
You
him.
know,
And
I
then
did
he'd
some
show up
research,
again, and I didn't know his
but,
background. I didn't know much about
you
him.
know,
And
he would
just
let me know what it was, and then I researched to make sure. I even sent it to someone, somebody helped me with this, to make sure. Sent the book. I even sent it to someone, somebody helped me with this, versed in Spanish history, in the Spanish Civil War, was versed in Spanish. I said, I am not a Spanish Civil War. I told him, I said, I am not a Spanish what is missing or what I need to know. Please tell me and help what is missing or what I need to know. It's good and help me, and he just said, it's good. I'm like, You're kidding, you know.
That's fun. Well, that's good. Yes, always good to get feedback from the folks who are in the trenches and actually living it. And that's another question actually just
in
about
the trenches and actually living it.
you know, because
And
when
that's
you're writing
another
a
question
memoir, there's all
actually
this
just about
anticipation
feedback,
of
you know,
what are
because
people
when you're
gonna
writing a
think,
memoir,
and
there's all
we've
this
talked about, you know,
anticipation
parading around with your clothes
of
off,
what are
you know,
people
it's
gonna
so
think, and
exposing,
we've
and
talked about, you know,
scary,
parading
and
around with your
and
clothes
all this
off, you know, it's so
anticipation.
exposing
What
and
are the
scary,
things?
and
What are the considerations?
all this
and feelings,
anticipation, you know, of anticipation
what are
and
the
people
things?
receiving
What are the
the
considerations
novel?
and
What were some of the
feelings, you know, of
fears, you know, if
anticipation and
not
people
walking
receiving
around with your
the
clothes off?
novel?
What were
is
some of the fears,
Still
you know,
close
if not
to it.
walking around with your clothes off? What is?
Well,
It's still
I
close to
hope
it.
that people would
Well,
feel
I hope
something
that
from reading
people
this story and
feel
and especially
something
learn from reading this
something
story
about the world and
and
about
especially
history
learn
that most of us
something
about
I
the
knew
world
nothing
and
either.
about
Most of
history
us do not
that
know the
most of
story.
us
It is
I
not
knew
that
nothing
well
either.
known.
Most of us
Now
do
there's a
not
couple
know
of
the
novels,
story.
and then
It
there's
is
this
not
new
that
series,
well
Transatlantic.
known.
Now
Now
there's
there's
a
a
couple
couple
of
of
novels,
Varian
and then
Fry
there's this new
story,
series, Transatlantic, that
there's
does touch on the
really,
Varian
in
Fry
my
story,
story,
inaccurate in terms
really
of solid
in
history,
my
which is
opinion,
where my
pretty
passion
inaccurate in
They are
terms of
creative
solid
works,
history, which is
and
where my
that, and
passion
so,
is.
you know, people can do
They are creative
what they
works,
want,
and that,
but
and so,
I
you know,
was
people
afraid,
can do
and who
what
knows,
they
it hasn't
want,
happened yet,
but I was afraid,
you know,
and
of
who
those
knows, it hasn't
Amazon
happened
reviews
yet,
where
but
people say, "Oh my God, I threw the book
you know,
across
of
the
those
room because
Amazon
the history's
reviews
all
where people
wrong."
say, "Oh my
And I
God, I
wasn't
threw
going to
the
be
book
one of those
across the
people
room because
so
the
far, so
history's
good.
all
Have some
wrong."
good reviews,
And I
on
wasn't
Amazon
going to be
so
one
far,
of those people,
but I
so far, so
I
good.
wanted to
Have some
be
good reviews on
accurate,
Amazon
and
so
so
far,
I'm on
but
Facebook group.
I
I
wanted
forget
to
which
be
one, but one of the
accurate,
World
and
War
so
II
I'm
Facebook
on
groups,
Facebook
and I was
group.
I forget
Talking
which one, but
about
one
the
of the World War
Gestapo
II
in
Facebook
Vichy
groups,
France,
and I was
and
in
talking
the
about the
memoirs
Gestapo
that
I
in
have,
Vichy
they are
France,
talking about the
in the
Gestapo
memoirs
in
that I
Vichy
have,
France. They are
before
talking about the
1942
Gestapo
when officially
in Vichy France
became part
before
of
the whole
1942 when
occupation,
officially
and
Vichy France
this
became
woman
part of
wrote back to me and
the
she
whole
said,
occupation.
absolutely, there were
And
no
this
Gestapo
woman
in
wrote
Vichy
back to
France
me and
before
she said,
1942.
And I
Absolutely,
went,
there were no Gestapo
so I
in Vichy France
reviewed
before
my
1942.
research.
Like, oh
And I
my
went,
God, what if she? No,
So I
didn't read that.
reviewed
Where
my
was it?
research.
Like,
So
oh
I
my
went and
God,
I
what if
looked up
the
the
pages?
Did not read
I
that.
wrote
Where
down
was
the
it?
page numbers in
So
case
I went and
somebody
I looked
ever
up
wants
the
that
pages
information.
I wrote down the page
About
numbers in
from the
case
memoirs.
somebody
Ever
that the
wants that
Gestapo
information
was there,
about
and what they were
from the
doing there,
memoirs
and
and
why
why
they
they
were
was
there,
and
and
what they
there's
were
a
doing
lot of
there,
actual
and why
history
they were
about them
there.
being there.
And
So
there's
I'll
a
stand
lot
on
of
that platform.
actual history about them being there.
That's
So I'll
good.
stand
Well,
on
and
that
it,
platform.
you know, how rewarding, right?
That's good. Well, and
to be
it's
pushed and then
you
to
know,
go back and
how
look and
rewarding,
then know that it was
right?
true. So that's
To be
wonderful.
pushed and then to go back and look and then know
do you
that
want
it
me
was
to start
true.
to
So
take
that's
some
wonderful.
audience questions, Linda Joy, or do you want to stay in conversation?
do you
Is there
want me to
something
start
that
to
you
take
wish
some
we would
audience
touch
questions, Linda
upon?
Joy, or do you want to stay in conversation? Is there
let's
something
talk
that you
for a
wish we would
second
touch
with
upon?
everyone here about,
Well,
let's
talk
say
for
you've
a
written a
second
memoir
with
maybe
everyone
you've written
here
two.
about
Let's say you've written a memoir. Maybe
what
you've
else do
written
you want to write
two.
about? What fascinates you?
What taps
What
on
else
your
do you want to write
shoulder?
about? What
You know,
fascinates you?
and
What
you
taps
really
on your
can
shoulder?
draw, you know,
From all the
and you
skills
really
you know,
can
writing
draw.
scenes, character
From
development,
all
which
the
is even
skills you
harder
know,
with
writing
people you
scenes,
know.
character development,
Really,
which is
that's
even
just
harder
the most
with people
challenging
you
thing.
know.
Plot.
Really,
Yeah, okay.
that's just
So
the most
yeah, for me it
challenging
was like,
thing.
okay, how do I
Plot. Figure
yeah,
out the
okay.
plot.
So
But there's
yeah, for
lots
me it
of
was like,
books, and
okay,
there's
how do
lots
I
of courses,
figure
and a
out
lot
the
of it,
plot? But
you just need
there's
to do a
lots
lot
of
of books,
writing,
and there's lots
and
of
sometimes
courses,
you need to
and
do
a
some
lot of it,
outlining.
you just need to do a lot of
We
writing.
can get into
And
that, but
sometimes you need to do some outlining.
you know,
We could get into
knowing
that, but
somewhere something about where you want to go, and
you
what
know, the main
knowing
points
somewhere
are that
something
you
about
wanna
where you want to
cover.
go, and what
It's the same
the
thing
main
as in
points are that you
writing
want to
memoir,
cover.
you know.
It's
So
the same
just,
thing.
you know,
As
life
in,
is
as in
long,
writing
art
memoir,
is
you know.
long.
So
If
just,
you have the
you know, life
idea,
is long,
but like
art
we
is
were
long.
going, well, I'm a
If you
memoirist,
have
I
the
don't know if I can
idea,
do it.
but like
You know, one of the
we're
reasons
going,
we
well, I'm
wanted
a
to talk
memoirist,
today
I don't know if I
is
can do
say,
it.
I surprised
You know,
the
one of the
heck
reasons
out of
we wanted to
myself.
talk
I mean, I
today
didn't think
is
I could do
say,
it.
I
really,
surprised the
it
heck
wasn't
out of myself.
I turned the
I mean, I
book
didn't
in.
think I could do
Many
it.
of you know that
Really,
I
it
had an
wasn't.
operation
I
at the
turned
end
the
of
book
October.
in.
I turned the book in.
Many
the
of
day
you know
before
that
the
I
operation.
had an operation at the end of October.
My
I turned the
editor,
book in the
who's
day
in the
before the
audience,
operation.
hi Jody. And I worked so hard,
who's in the
really
audience,
hard,
hi,
8
Judy.
hours a day. And I worked
for the
so
last
hard,
month.
really hard, 8 hours
trying
a
to
day.
get it really, really done.
For the
And
last
those
month.
final,
it is
trying
like
to get it
climbing a
really,
mountain.
really done. And
It
those
really is like,
final,
okay,
it
can I
is
take
like
one more
climbing
step?
a
Can I do
mountain.
one more correction?
Yes,
It
you
really
have to.
is like,
You
okay,
have
can
to.
I
You
take
have
one
to.
more step? Can I do
So
one
for
more
every book,
correction? Yes,
we
you
go
have to.
through that.
You have to.
You have to.
Then
So
it's
for
like,
every book,
okay,
we go
have I
through
done the
that,
very best I
but
can
then
to
it's
create
like,
a believable
okay,
world?
have I done the
And
very
that was
best I
my
can to
my
create a
effort,
believable world?
you know, and
that was my,
so you
my
you
effort,
too, if you want to
you
keep
know,
writing,
and,
there's
much
so
to write about
you
in the
too,
world.
if you want to keep
Do
writing,
it.
there's
Much to write
Yeah,
about in the
great.
world.
I love that.
Do it.
It's such an important inquiry as well.
Yeah, great. I love that.
It's
All
such an
right,
important
so
inquiry
I'll
as
start to
well.
take some questions unless you want people to raise their
All right,
hands.
so
Is that
I'll
what,
take-
how
I'll
do you
start
take
to
some
take some
questions
questions
unless
unless
you want people
and
to raise
people
their
can raise
hands?
their
Is that
hands.
what, how
No,
do
you
you,
can
we'll
go
bring
ahead
you
and
on if
guide
you'd
the
like to
questions,
speak,
and
and
people can raise their
I'll
hands.
field
Okay,
some of the
perfect.
questions
We'll
that
bring you
have
on if
been
you'd like to
put in
speak,
already.
and I'll field some of the
asked,
questions that
whether
have
your
been
profession as a
put in already.
psychologist
Kiyomi
helped with your character
asked
development.
whether your profession
Yeah,
as a
yeah, I was
psychologist
talking
helped
about
with your
that, right.
character development.
Absolutely. And in
Yeah.
terms of not just me,
I was
but
talking about that, right?
how do you look at other
Absolutely.
people?
And in terms of not
how
just
do
me,
you,
but
know
how do you look
what
at
other people are going
you
through?
know,
You
how
know,
do
what's the
you,
expression on their face?
know
What's
what
their
other
body
people are going
language?
through? You
You
know,
know,
what's the
things
expression
like
on their
that that
face?
are important
What's
in
their
memoir,
body
of course,
language?
too, as
You know,
those
things like that that
portions.
are
Well, and
important
I
in
was going to say,
memoir,
it's like
of
there's
course,
character
too,
development and
as well as
characterization, and we
fiction.
touch upon
Well,
this
and
in
I
our
was going to
long
say, it's
class,
like there's
but
character development and characterization, and we touch upon this in our
interpersonal
long
dynamics,
class.
some
But
people are
interpersonal
really good at
dynamics,
and
you know, which some
understand, and some people
don't
are
pay close
really
enough
good
attention
at
to,
and
but I love
understand,
in a
and some
memoir, and
people
it's in
don't
fiction
pay
as
close enough
well.
attention
You know,
to,
that
but
I love
the
in a
way
memoir,
that
and it's
two
in fiction as
characters
well. You know, that
interplay,
the way that
and
two
certainly you do that
characters
so much in this book,
interplay,
because you know Sarah has the
and
relationship
certainly
with
you do
Cesar,
that
she
so
has
much
the
in this
relationship
book
with
because,
Mr.
you know,
Reed,
Sarah has the
you know, she has
relationship
all
with
of
Cesar,
these
she has the
different people
relationship
that
with
she's
Mr.
interacting
Reed,
with,
you know, she has
and,
all of
and
these
she is, you know, we
different
all
people
are
that she's
kind of
interacting
different
with,
people in different
and
contexts.
she is, you know,
So
we all
to show all
are
those
kind of different
multifaceted
people in different
ways
contexts.
that people
So
are
to
is
show
not
all those
a totally easy
multifaceted
thing to pull off.
ways
Well,
that
then
people
there's
are is
dialogue. We
not
didn't even talk about
a
that.
totally
but,
easy thing to pull off.
Well, then there's dialogue. We didn't even
think
talk
you have
about
a little
that. But,
easier
you know,
time in
how do
writing a novel to figure
I
out
think
what
you
do
have a
people
little
say to each
easier
other.
depends
Time
on
in
the
writing a
like you
novel
just
to
talked
figure
about
out what
the
do people say to
interpersonal
each other.
relationship.
Depends on the
You know,
the,
and
like you
so
just
that
talked
was
about the
one way I got to know
relationship, who they all
you
were.
know,
is I would
and
just let 'em
so that was
talk
one way I
and
got to
see
know who they
what
all
I could
were. Is I
use.
would just let them
Yeah,
talk.
that's so
and
great.
see
All
what I
right,
could
so
use.
let's see who else has
That's so
questions. Well,
great.
Jody,
All right,
aforementioned
so let's see
editor.
who
Hello,
else has
Jody.
questions.
Well,
Learned
Jody,
about adding
aforementioned
tension to
editor. Hello,
fiction.
Jody. I wonder what you can tell us
Learned
about
about
adding tension to memoir.
fiction.
Did
I
your
wonder what you can
discoveries
tell us
work
about
on,
adding tension to memoir.
working on Forger
Did your
inform
discoveries work
your view of
on,
memoir writing?
working on
You want to add to
Forger
that question,
inform
Jody?
your view of memoir writing?
You need to.
Sorry,
You want to
now
add to
I'm
that
playing
question,
going
Jody?
over, but yeah, I was going to say something about
You need
that
to
question.
now
I'm playing
For the
going
record,
over,
I didn't
but,
find you
yeah,
stubborn
I
at
was
all
going to
in
say something
the
about
book.
that question.
Thank
For the
you.
record, I
didn't
didn't
find
find
you
you
stubborn
There's a
at
big
all
difference
in the
between
Joy.
stubborn and
Thank
you
you.
know,
having
you sound stubborn.
convictions.
There's a big difference
Fighting
between
for that
stubborn
thing you think
and
belongs in there.
you know,
but-
having convictions.
Yeah, when the question came up about
fighting
how
for
your
that thing you
psychotherapy
think belongs
affected
in there,
your writing,
yeah, when
they
the
always thought it
question
was
came
so
up about how your
delightful how
psychotherapy
you were
affected your
so
writing,
self-aware and
I
talked
always
about
thought it
your
was so
unwillingness
delightful
to make
how you
people
were
uncomfortable.
so
And
self-aware
your
and
job
talked about your
has always been to get
unwillingness
people
to
out
make
of
people uncomfortable,
discomfort,
and
that as
your
a fiction writer,
has always been
your
to
job
get
is
people
to
out of
put them
discomfort,
in
and
make them
fiction
feel
writer,
uncomfortable and
your job
tense
is
and stressed
to
and not knowing
put
where it's
them
going to go.
you know, make
That's
them feel
all your
uncomfortable
fault,
and tense and
Jody.
stressed and not knowing where it's going to go.
No,
But I don't think
your
people think
fault,
in those terms
Jody.
rather
Yeah.
than memoir.
Very much.
No,
I don't
I'd
think
love to
people
hear
think
what
in
you
those
both
terms
have to
rather
say.
than memoir.
Right.
Very much.
The
So
whole
I'd
tension
love to
thing.
hear
Well,
what
yeah,
you
in
both have to
writing
say.
memoir, we need
need
Well,
to think
there's
about
the whole tension thing. Well, yeah, in writing
you-
memoir,
well,
we need to
we're-
think
we're
about
looking at, well, what actually
happened. But
well,
I mean, I think
we're looking
there are
at, well,
different
what
kinds of
personalities, and of course,
happened,
as a
but,
therapist, I was
I
always
mean, I
trying to
think
make
there are
people
different
feel
kinds of
comfortable and
personalities, of
calm
course,
down,
as a
right?
therapist, I was always
Usually,
trying to make people feel
and
comfortable
in
and
writing
calm down,
fiction,
right?
you know,
what Jody helped me
and
with
in
is,
writing
no, you need to
fiction,
keep them on
you
the
know,
edge. What
tense,
Jody helped me with
and
is,
the
no,
reader
you
not
need to
knowing
keep
what's gonna
them on
happen.
the edge,
I'm like,
tense,
oh. And I didn't
the
get
reader
that
not
insight
knowing what's
until
gonna
late
happen.
in the game,
I'm like,
but it
oh.
came after
And
I'd
I
done a
didn't
lot
get
of
that
drafts,
insight
so it was
until late in the
easier for me
game,
to,
but it came after I'd
deal
done a lot
with.
of drafts.
And
so
then
it was
tension in
easier
memoir,
for me
I
to,
mean,
deal
yeah,
with.
we run
And
into
then
this with
tension in
students
memoir,
about, I mean,
yeah,
we run into this with
maybe
students about
not wanting to reveal all the bad things that
maybe
were
not
going
wanting to
on, or
reveal
everything that
all
somebody
the
did,
bad
or
things
even
that were going
confessing
on,
what
or
they
everything
did
that somebody
because of
did,
this sort
or
of self
even confessing what
protection,
they
keep-
did because
keep
of
it-
this sort of
keep it
self
smooth,
protection,
emotionally.
keep
Keep it
It's
smooth,
interesting because I feel
emotionally.
like I noticed
Mhm.
that in
It's
this
interesting
work,
because
like
I
kind of was saying, oh, Linda Joy's not
that
totally
in
comfortable
this
with
work,
this
like
level
I
of
kind of was saying,
tension,
oh, Linda Joy's
and
not
there is
totally
a lot
comfortable
in the
with
book,
this
and so you really
level
push
of
yourself
tension,
clear.
and
I
there is
know
a lot
clearly
in the book, and so you really
in
push
memoir,
yourself
it's like
clear.
we're having to deal with the fact that these are really
in
things
memoir,
that
it's
happen
like,
to us, and so
we're
whereas
having
like
to deal with
a
the fact
reader
that
might
these are
feel
really things that happen to us,
concerned,
and so
if
whereas
you
like
are
a reader
victim
might
or
feel
like there's a sexual
concerned,
assault
if
or
you
a
are
rape
a
or
victim,
or
like there's
one of your characters
assault
goes
or
to
a
the
rape,
camps,
or
it's very different if you're reading
one of
from
your characters
someone's
goes to the
first person
camps, it's very
perspective, that
different
they
if
kind of
you're
need to know that
reading
you're going to
from
be okay.
someone's first person,
and in a perspective that they kind of need to know that you're going to be
if one of these characters were
and
to
in
have died or to have something really,
like if one of these characters were to have died, or
there is a way in which we're like, oh, okay, well, it's not the author telling their first person perspective.
there is a way in which we're like, oh, okay, well, it's not the author
remove
telling their
yourself in a
first
way,
person
and I think you
perspective.
don't have to
So,
worry in quite the same way about protecting your readers' experience.
in quite the same way
Yeah,
about
I mean,
protecting your
though,
readers'
I mean, one
experience.
thing that we've noticed in
Yeah, I
helping
mean,
people write abuse
though, I mean, one
stories
thing that we've
is
noticed
that in helping
if
people
there's
write abuse
a huge
stories
amount early
is
on
that
of
if
child
there's an
a huge
abuse,
amount early on of
what we've
child
noticed is that
abuse
readers tend to be
what we
protected
notice is that
and worry
readers
about that.
tend to
So we
be
talk about ways
protected
that the writer
and worry
can frame
about that.
So we talk about
that,
ways that the
early
writer
on,
can
so
frame
that
the reader can keep reading.
that
Yeah.
early on,
know, so that the
along
reader can
those
keep
lines, that's
reading.
something we work.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's important to
along
all these
those lines, that's something
considerations.
we work with.
So from
Yeah,
Portia,
no, it's important
does
to all
anybody
these
know?
considerations.
So
where
from
you're at
Portia,
right now.
does
anyone know
anybody
where Brooke
know-
is?
Oh.
No.
It's about where you're at right now.
Does anyone know where
Your
Brooke
little
is? No.
Cabin in the back.
This is my in-law
Your
unit.
little
Yeah.
cabin in
So
the
thank
back.
you.
This is my in-law unit.
From
yeah.
Lois, can you
So,
talk
thank
about
you.
dialogue and how you well, we
From
just talked
Lois,
about
can you
dialogue a little
talk
bit,
about
but anything more to say? I
dialogue
mean,
and
that's
how
a big
you-
one
well,
because
we
I know
just
you've
talked
talked a
about
lot,
dialogue
Linda
a
Joy,
little
that you
bit,
really
but
needed
anything
to
more to say? I
learn
mean,
how
that's a big
to
one
do
because I know you've
dialogue,
talked
and
a lot,
certainly we
Linda Joy,
talked
that you
about
really needed to
dialogue
learn
in
how to do
memoir,
dialogue,
but
and
in this
certainly we
case,
talk
you
about
have foreign
dialogue in memoir, but in this case,
French,
you have foreign,
Spanish, German,
French,
English,
Spanish,
you
German,
had to really stretch yourself because there's a
yeah,
lot of different
English,
characters and
you know,
all
I
of
mean,
their
you had to really
their
stretch yourself
different
because
ways
there's
of
a lot of
speaking.
different characters and all of their different ways
one
of
of the things
speaking.
about
Yeah,
the Germans, I mean,
one of the things about,
one of the things
like
the
had to
Germans,
work on
I
is,
mean,
well,
they're,
how do I show,
one of the things I,
for instance,
had to work on is, well, how do I
the
show,
Germans in this story
for
were,
instance, that
they were
the
reserved.
Germans,
There was
at
a
least the
reserve, and
Germans
in
in
France
this story
too,
were,
they were
different kind of
reserved. There was a
characteristics
reserve, and
with
in
his family
France
in
too,
France, and
the
so
different
the
kind of
reservations,
characteristics,
and
with his
not
family
it's
in
not true
France.
for
And
every
so
German
the
or every French
reservations, this
person,
is,
but
not
German,
it's
how
not
to
true
show
for every
reservation
German or
in
every
their
French person, but
emotion and
German, how to
caution,
show
and
reservation in their
family
emotion
and
Paris
caution,
that
and in the
stay
with
with
French
for a while.
family
What are
in
they like? How are
Paris
they
that they
different?
stay with for a
For
while.
the main
What
character.
are they like?
you
How
know?
are they
And then
different?
Cesar
for
and his
the main character,
family, and also,
you know,
and then
inside him, he's
Cesar and
carrying
his
the loss
family,
of his
and also
family, and so
inside him,
he's carrying the
Mm.
loss,
you
of
know,
his
and
family,
then
and so
and his
then
country.
how does
Mm.
the men
you
talk
know,
different
and
than
then
the women talk?
then how
And
does
so then
how
I got
does
really
the men talk different than the
involved
women
in some of the
talk?
characterization
And so then I
of
got
the
really
secondary characters
involved
in
in some of the
Marseille.
characterization.
That
of
was
the
kind of
secondary
fun. They just
characters
sort of
in,
evolved, and one of them
Marseille.
is this kind of
That was kind of fun. They just sort of evolved.
And I was
and
like,
one of them
oh,
is
that
this
was
kind of
fun, you know,
guy,
really
kind of
different than some of the
and
other
I was
people.
like, oh, that was
so you just
fun,
have
you
to
know,
go
really
with the flow
different
if
than
something
some of
stuff
the
like
other
that
people.
starts happening.
So you just have to
Well, and it's
go
fun
for
because those
flow,
secondary
something
characters
like
like
that
Renee
starts
and others, they're
and
they
it's fun
are
because those
fun
secondary
because
characters
they're
like Renee and others,
to the
they're
story, but
they
they're
are
not
fun
your
because
primary
they're
protagonists,
important
and
to the
some of
story,
and so you
but
have all
they're
these
not
memorable
your
characters are like some of the English guys that show
and
up at the end, and
so you
like
have all these
memorable
the
characters are like
expressions
some of
that
the
you bring
English
in,
guys
so
that show up
they
at the end, and like
the expressions that
it's
you
a lot
bring
of
in,
fun,
so
and it does transport you to this space.
It's a lot
And
of
I
fun,
especially
and it does
appreciated,
transport
that there's
you
this
to
one
this
place
space,
and I
Mr.
especially
Lee doesn't have the
appreciated,
right
that there's this one
accent,
place
and
where
that's a tell. Mr.
and
Lee doesn't
I was
have the
curious
right
about that, of course,
accent,
too, because
and
like
that's
even
a
within the
tell.
United States,
And I was
we're
curious about
especially
that,
because
of
we're
course,
such a
too,
huge
because
country,
it's like you
within the
can sort of
United
tell where
States,
people are from,
especially because we're
sometimes,
such a
and like how
huge
do you
country,
it's like you can sort of tell where people
you
are
had a
from
real
sometimes,
challenge
and like how
here,
do you disguise
to
these
address,
accents, and
so
just the
you
whole
had a real challenge
all the
here,
things of like the name
to
changes,
address,
the accents,
just the
fact
whole
of people being from
all
different
the
countries.
things of
It's a
like the
lot to
name
hold.
changes, the
So
accents,
well
the
done.
fact of people being from
Thank
different
you.
countries. It's a
I
lot to
worked on
hold.
that.
Yeah, well done.
It shows.
Thank you.
And so
I
from
worked on
Evelyn,
that.
do you
Yeah,
think that you're,
it
I know the
shows.
answer to this. So you're going to write
And so
another
from
fiction
Evelyn,
piece next,
do you
or
think that
another
you're, well, I know the
memoir
answer to this.
masterpiece? So you're going to write another fiction
When
piece
working
next,
on
or
some
another
small
memoir
pieces
masterpiece?
that may turn into
When working on
something
some
I
small
don't
memoir
know,
pieces
but
that
may turn into
Yeah.
something I
So
don't
Mr. Lieb
know,
and somebody
but,
else
are talking to me
Yeah.
about what's going on.
So
in
Mr.
Lisbon.
Lieb and somebody
So
else
some of
are
you know
talking to
that
me
about what's going on.
people
in
who got
Lisbon.
over the
So
Pyrenees.
some of you know
They
that,
get to Spain.
You know, the people who got
Maybe
over the Pyrenees,
if they weren't captured.
they get to
then
Spain,
they get
to Portugal
maybe
and Lisbon.
if they weren't captured.
stopped,
Then
and
they
captured.
get to Portugal
And
and
then
Lisbon. If they
Varian
weren't
Fry,
stopped
what he was
and
doing is
captured.
helping people
And
get
then
on ships.
Varian
or
Fry,
what he was doing is
part
helping
of the
people
process of
get
getting
on
them on
ships
ships
to
or
America from Lisbon.
part
Lisbon
of
was
the
the only
process
open
of
getting them
port.
on ships to America
You know,
from Lisbon.
Lisbon
So
was the only
people would
open
get to
port.
America and the Caribbean,
You know,
and
so
so
a
people
few
would
other
get to
places
America
too.
and the Caribbean,
Even
and,
Palestine at the time.
a few other
Uh,
places too.
So
Even
Palestine at the time.
You know, there was just a lot of tension.
You know,
and
there was just a
story
lot of
that was unresolved, and so
tension.
they're already
and
talking
story
to me that was
I'm
unresolved, and
forget it.
so
I can't.
they're already
I can't
talking
not
to me.
listen.
It's I'm
An
Forget it,
interesting thing,
I
I'm sort of
can't not
a
listen.
diehard fan.
An interesting thing,
I'm sort of
I listen a lot, and recently
diehard
he
fan of
interviewed
the
Tom
Ezra
Hanks,
Klein
and
show,
Tom Hanks was talking about his undying obsession with
Tom
World
Hanks,
War
and
II.
Tom Hanks was
he had
talking about his
undying
about that,
obsession
and I
with
thought,
World
well, I
War
know someone
II.
else who's
and he
obsessed
had
with
his
World War
his
II.
thoughts
And
about
I think
that.
a lot of people in the
I know
culture
someone
are,
else
and
who's
of course
obsessed
you've
with World War
spoken
II,
to
the fact that you grew
and
up
I
with
think
it,
a
and
lot
your
of people in the
grandmother and all
culture
of this
are,
stuff,
and of
but
course you've
what do
spoken to
you
the fact that you
make
grew
of
up with it
this
and your grandmother and all of this
cultural
stuff, but
you know, how
do you
taken
make
people
of
are with
this
World War II, and why we
cultural,
circle back to
you know,
these
how
stories.
taken people are
And
with
I
World
thought
War
you might
II,
just
and
speak
why
a little
we
bit
circle
to
back
some
to
of the
these
ideas that you
stories.
had to
And I thought you
celebrate
might just
other
speak a little bit
authors,
to
you know,
some of the
who
ideas that
are
you
writing
had
or
to
have written about
celebrate
World War
other
II.
authors,
yeah.
you know, who
Well,
are writing or
it
have
was
written
the
about World
most
War
huge
II.
World
conflict
It was the
that
most
ever
huge
existed,
and there was
world
so much at
conflict,
stake
but
that it ever existed.
one of the main
and there was
things
so
at
much
stake
at
was
stake,
democracy
but
itself.
one of the
Does this
main
sound
things
familiar?
at stake was democracy.
I wrote this
itself.
book
Throughout
sound
these
familiar?
years with the Orange Man
I
as
wrote this
president,
book
and
throughout
these
years.
we're
with
not
the
done
Orange
yet.
Man as president.
There are so
And,
many parallels between the
we're not
history
done yet.
there are
of
so
what
many
happened in the
parallels
past
between the
particularly
history and World War II
and
what happened in the
this
past.
favorite quote of mine
particularly
is the very
in
beginning of
World
the
War
book.
II.
Those
And cannot remember
This
the
favorite
past
quote
are
of mine is
condemned
the very
to
beginning of
repeat
the
it.
book.
And I've
Those
used that
cannot
quote
remember the past
in
are
memoir
condemned to
books
repeat
too.
it.
And I've
But
used that
it's
quote
very pertinent
in memoir
for
what's
books,
happening
too.
now. And so I
But
think there's a
it's
couple
very
of things.
pertinent
One is
for
what's
that there are
happening
so many
now. And
stories
so I
yet to
think
be
there's a couple of
discovered.
things. One is, I mean,
That
things
there
are
are
still
so
being
many stories
released
yet to be
from,
discovered.
into
I
the
mean, things are
public
still being
about the
released
history
from
of that time.
secret
into
documents
the
are being
public
opened
about the
The
history
other
of
is
that time.
secret documents are
I
being
don't know, the
opened.
parallel,
The other is
struggle thing. I was thinking
I
about
don't know, the
this
parallel
question, World
the
War
struggle
II.
thing. I was thinking
It's the
about
most recent
this
major
question,
conflict. I was just
World
reading
War
somebody's
II.
blog about this.
It's the
But
most
also
recent major
conflict. I was just reading somebody's blog
people who
about
were
this,
conquered,
but it's also
and people who
about
fought back.
people who
And
were
the
conquered
sacrifice
of
and
those
people
who
who
did
fought
fight back, and the
hundreds of thousands
sacrifice
and millions
of
of
those
people
who did
fought
fight
back
back,
and
hundreds
did
of
die,
thousands and millions
know.
of people.
But what can we
fought
learn
back
about
and
having
did die,
that kind of
you know,
courage.
but what can we
what
learn
would
about
we do
having
if we were
that
there
kind of
then?
courage? And
Could I
what
be
would
Sarah?
we do if
I
we
don't
were
know
there
for sure.
then?
I took
Could I
on
be
being
Sarah?
her
I don't
to
know
see
for
what it
sure. I
felt
took
like.
on being her,
But
so much more
to see
happens
what it
after
felt
the
like,
period that I wrote about.
but
So
it's
much more
pretty rough.
happens after the
Pretty rough
period that
story.
I wrote about. It's
It's pretty rough.
Indeed, it is.
Pretty rough story.
Yeah, people are sharing that they've bought the
Indeed,
book
it
or they
is.
finished the book, and
Yeah,
Marianne
people are
said,
sharing that they've
just
bought the
ordered
book or they're
it,
looking
finished
forward to
the
reading
book.
it. My
And
question
Marianne
is,
said,
what is the best
just
way to
ordered it,
practice
looking forward to
craft?
reading it. My question
If I
is,
keep writing a
what is the
section
best way to
over,
practice
how is the best way to
craft?
get feedback and
If I keep writing a
guidance
section
until I get it
over,
right?
how is the best way to get feedback
Well,
and
if you can
guidance
be in a
until
writing
until I
group,
get it right.
and if you can,
well, if you
be
can
and
be
take
in a
classes or
writing
get an
group,
editor or a
and if you
coach, that's a
can
good idea. A
take
good way to
classes or get an editor
you know,
or a
build
coach,
up
that's
your
a good
craft. That's
idea.
what I
A
did.
good
I mean,
way
I
to
was always taking a
you know,
class,
build up your craft.
reading a
That's what
craft
I did. I
book,
mean, I was always
underlining
taking
it
a
yet
class,
again and again and again,
reading
trying
a
to
craft book,
internalize it,
underlining
it's-
it yet again
I
and
think
again and
writing
again,
is
trying to
about learning how
internalize
to
it, think and
it's-
feel.
I think
into
writing
something,
is
and so
about
there's the
learning how to
facts
think
about
and
it,
feel.
and then
into
there's
something,
and so there's the
this
facts
mystical
about it.
It is kind of, you
And
know,
then
how do you
there's
find
the-
the words? Sometimes
this
they come to you.
mystical.
And
It
sometimes
is
you
kind
just
of, you know,
have
how
to
do you
pound
find the
out
words?
each
Sometimes they
one.
come to you.
Let it
And
sit there and
sometimes
see
you
what
just have to
happens.
pound
See if
out
it's right.
each one.
Let
Mostly
it sit there
you
and see
get
what
there by
happens.
writing
See if
it
it's
a million
right.
times.
Mostly you get there
Frankly.
by writing it a million times.
Yeah, no, that's an important
Frankly.
one. And like you and I, Linda Joy, obviously, like
Yeah,
we
no,
teach.
that's an
I
important
just
one. And
hired
like you
a
and I,
coach
Linda Joy, obviously,
for
like
myself,
we teach
because you know, it's like there
hired
comes a
a
point in your own
coach
writing where
for
you're like,
myself.
this is
Because,
what I
you know,
do,
it's like
and
there comes a
I
point in your own
still
writing
need
where you're
support, and
like,
you're an inspiration
this
with
is
that
what I
because I mean
do, and
you have Jody here, but
I
you
still
got
need
other
support, and you're an
editors and
inspiration with that because I
coaches,
mean
you know, and
you have Jody here, but you
just
got
want to put in a
other
plug for that.
editors
Yeah, I
and
wanna
coaches,
shout
you know,
out
and
to Sans
I
Hall.
just
She
want to
was
put in a
my
plug for
first,
that
yeah, I
because
want to shout out to Sans Hall. She was my
I would say to
first,
her,
writing coach
I don't know
during
how to write a
COVID. We would
novel.
meet, and
Will you
I would
please
say to
help me?
her, and she did.
I don't
She
know
did
how to
lot of
write a
work with
novel.
me
Will
around
you please help
scene,
me?
and
And
she did. She did a lot of
novel
work with me around
and how to
scene
think,
'cause
in
it's a different way
a
of
novel
thinking to make things
and how to
up,
think,
because it's
out
a different way
pretty
of
much
thinking
pulp
to
law.
make things up.
Yeah, no,
Out of
absolutely. And Carol
pretty
has
much
a
pulp law.
little comment here, which I think is
no,
great. Is
absolutely. And
Camus
Carol
wrote
has
about
a,
living in Paris during World War
little
II.
comment here, which I think is great. Is
no one can
Camus
possibly
wrote
understand
about
what
living
the
in Paris
experience
during
was
World War
like
II,
if you were on the
saying
outside.
no one
It
can
gives one
possibly understand what
pause
the
about how to write
experience was
about
like
this,
if you
but
were
I
on
still
the
think it's worth
outside.
it. It gives
Yeah.
one pause
Carol-
about how to write about
Carol, you
this,
take
but I
on
still
this
think it's
era
worth it.
very well
Yeah.
in all
Carol-
of your books. And
Carol, you take
are
on
obviously
this era
moved and
very well in
fascinated
all of
by
your
it,
books,
and
travel
you know,
there,
are
and we're going to have a
obviously moved and
conversation with
fascinated by
Carol.
it, and
Travel there,
and we're going to
next
have a
in August
conversation with Carol
about
Carol
all these
Bumpus
things. So
next
we're
in
gonna do a
August.
follow-up about writing about
all these things.
writing
So
about
we're going to do
France.
a follow-up
She does.
about
Carol
writing
does
about
memoir and
writing
fiction.
about France. She does.
Yes. Carol does
Great.
memoir
And we have a
fiction.
craft course coming up.
Yes.
So I will
Great.
just say
And
that
we
again.
have a
I'll
craft
put the
course
link
coming
in the
up.
chat
The
here.
So I
because
will
we're
just
doing
say
craft
that again. I'll put the
essentials
link in the
this
chat
fall.
here,
You're
'cause we're
teaching about
doing craft
context.
essentials.
I'm teaching
this
about
fall.
aboutness.
You're teaching
And
about
if you're curious what the heck
context.
is aboutness,
I'm teaching
join
about
us.
aboutness.
These things
And if you're
matter.
curious
You know,
what
I
the heck
mean,
is
they're like
aboutness,
kind
join
of
us.
we went a little
These things
into
matter.
more,
You know, I mean,
not
they're like
esoteric,
kinda,
but just
we
like
went
not
a little
the usual
into
standard
more,
things that you
not
might be
esoteric,
thinking
but
about.
just
So
like
I'm
not the
digging
usual
in,
standard
digging into
things
the
that you might
layers,
be thinking about. So I'm
digging
of
in,
craft
digging
that
into
are-
the layers
that are more subtle,
of
and
craft that are
well, and can I say
that are
something?
more
It's like the
subtle,
first time
and
we're ever
important.
having
Well,
a
and can I say something?
novelist
It's like the first
come
time
teach
for
we're ever
our memoir
having
class,
a
and the
novelist
list is Janet
come
Fitch,
teach
and guess why
for
that
our
happened?
memoir
Yes,
class, and the
Janet
list
Fitch
is
is gonna
Janet
be
Fitch,
our
and guess why
teacher.
that
Yeah,
happened?
she's
She's gonna be one of our
Janet
teachers, and I
Fitch
just
is
think it's
gonna be
interesting
one of our
because now I
teachers,
feel like
yeah.
she's gonna be one of our teachers,
I don't
and I
know,
just
we're in
think
a
it's
new
interesting
realm,
because
you
now
know,
I
we're
feel
inviting
like
in some
we're
more fiction, I guess.
I don't know, we're in a new
I do wanna
realm, you know,
say,
we're
I
inviting
forgot to
in
say
some
it
more
earlier,
fiction, I
but
guess.
Well,
Most of
I
us
do
have
want to
been
say
reading
I
fiction
forgot
all
to
of
say
our
it
lives.
earlier, but
That's why we're
most
writers.
of us
We got
have been reading
inspired.
fiction
I
all of
mean,
our lives.
maybe if you along
That's
the
why
way
we're
for the
writers.
last
We got
50 years, there
inspired.
were a few
I mean,
memoirs, but
maybe
not,
if you along
not
the way
many.
for the last 50 years,
And
there were a
those
few
would
memoirs,
inspire
but
us too.
not
So
many.
I still
And
read
those would
fiction to go,
inspire
how
us
did they do
too.
that?
So
How did they
I
do that
always,
scene?
I
How did they
still
create
read
that
fiction to
character?
go, how did they do that?
And it's
How did they do
helpful
that
in
scene? How did they
thinking of
create that
any
character?
kind of
And
development
it's
of a
helpful
story,
in
memoir
thinking of
or
any
fiction.
kind of
So read
development
fiction,
of a
read
story,
memoir,
all
or
the classes
fiction.
I took for years and
So
years
read
were on
fiction,
writing
read
fiction,
memoir,
because that's what was
all the
offered.
classes I took for
Right.
years and years were on writing fiction because that's
Thank
what
you
was
for
offered.
being with me,
Right.
and thank all of you.
Thank you for being with me, and thank
There you go.
all
It's a
of
beautiful
you.
book. Yeah, and if you pre-order it,
There you
or
go.
not
It's a
pre-order it, now it's beautiful available. book. What am I
Yeah,
saying?
and
It's
if
post,
you now
pre-order it.
Yeah,
or
I've been
not
so
pre-order
used to
it, now
saying
it's available.
pre-order
What
it.
am I saying? It's
It's
post.
now
Get it.
available.
Yeah,
It's
I've
so
been so
good.
used to saying
I'm just
pre-order it.
removing the pin so we
Get
can
it.
see everybody.
It's so good.
Thank you all for coming.
I'm just removing the
Thank you
pin
for
so we
being
can
here
see
with us
everybody.
today, and
Thank you all for
sharing
coming.
your
Thank you
thoughts
for being
and
here with us
comments
today, and
support. And if
sharing
you are
your thoughts
interested
and
and you want to buy
comments
my book,
and
as you all
support.
know,
And if you are
please
interested and
put
you
a
want to buy my
review
book
out
out there
there
in the
all know.
world for me,
Please
that's
put a
helpful
review
for us
out there in
authors.
the world
And
for me.
so glad to
That's
see you all
for
here
us
today.
authors.
Great to be with all
So
of
glad to
you.
see you all
Unmute
here
and say
today.
goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Great to be with all of you.
Unmute and say goodbye.
Great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much for
Weekend.
Thank you.
coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, thank you so
Bye.
much for coming. Bye-bye.
I'll be